The best of Money Matters. The Hot Seat.
Welcome to the Hot Seat, a debate segment where ideas clash and insights spark. I'm your host, Hongbin Jeong. Now, it's a special episode on the Hot Seat because it's Father's Day this weekend, which is a day to honor the dads, father figures, and caregivers who, show up in big and small ways. In 2025, though, being a father means a lot more than bringing home the bacon or handing out discipline. Today's dads are expected to be emotionally present, hands-on with parenting, and active partners at home, all while juggling work, societal expectations, and personal growth. And that is why joining us today on this special edition of the Hot Seat are three fathers from different backgrounds, and we will be asking them what it means to be a modern dad. We have three wonderful dads in the studio with us right now. One is a father of four who co-facilitates prenatal classes at 1313, a platform dedicated to relatable hands-on prenatal education that speaks to both moms and dads. Another is a full-time stay-at-home father to two boys aged 6 and 3. And finally, a father of two daughters and a son who he teaches life lessons through boxing. Now, if you'd like to send us some questions in for our guests, feel free to WhatsApp us at 88550893 or leave a comment on our Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn as we're currently streaming live on there as well. Now, without further ado, let me introduce the real-life superheroes in their children's lives. Jeremy Chua, who's an educator at 1313, followed by Pendita, who is a father of 3. And finally, we have Justin Hui, who is a stay-at-home dad. Fathers, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me. All right. Well, when we look up what it means to be a father, there's a lot of different takes on this question. So for all of you here, what does it mean to be a modern dad, and how has that definition changed from previous generations? Maybe, Justin, we can start with you.
Well, I became a stay-home dad. Well, not so much by choice. I wasn't doing so well at work, so I took a break, thanks to my wife giving me some support and encouragement to do so. And I realized that spending time with the kids was such a wonderful blessing, and we could see the changes in them. So I think being a modern dad is just being a lot more present with our kids and being there for the different moments in their lives, a lot more so than maybe our parents' generation.
And Pendita?
I totally agree with him. The current modern dad are more hands-on. We wanted to be more in their lives and see them growing up as compared to our fathers in our previous generation, whereby they are just solely going to work and provide for the family. So you're definitely more hands-on.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I totally agree with Justin and Pen. In the past, dads are the ones who traditionally are thought to go out and bring the bacon home. But today, more and more so in today's context in the society, dads and mums also go out to work.
Right.
The modern mum also goes out to work. And that's the reason why the modern dad has to provide more for the family in presence as well, not just financial support.
Right.
So we will be more present in the kids' lives.
Well, Justin, you are a stay-at-home dad. Why did you decide to defy the society norm and opt to be a stay-at-home dad instead? Was this a decision you and your wife made together?
So I'm in a stay-home dad community now, and I hear of so many of these noble dads who choose to forsake their careers because they feel that their children really need to be put first. I don't think I'm so noble. I was really struggling with my work after some time, and my wife saw how stressed I was, and she said, "You don't need to find another job to leave. We'll take this one step at a time." So when I started just being present at home, my friends were saying, "Why don't you consider being a stay-home dad?" And after 1 week, I said, no, this is terrible. The hours are terrible. The clients I'm working with are unreasonable. I didn't want to do this long term. But we started to see some changes, especially in my older son. And so I started to feel like, maybe this is an important part of his life. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be doing this for a very, very long time. But in this season, when they are young, I did feel the blessing and the need of being around, or at least one of us parents being around.
Right. Well, Jeremy, we've done some research on you, and it seems like you had a clear vision of where you saw yourself as an adult, which was, and I quote, getting married at 22, parents by 24. Tell us why fatherhood was something that you factored into your life's goals at such a young age. Most young people would prefer to chase their, personal goals such as career or, ticking off a bucket list before settling down. Why was it different for you?
To be honest, I had this vision back when I was 15. I'm not sure what struck me at that point in time. But the truth was that as I continued to rationalize it as I grew older, I realized that being a dad early also enables me to do so much more and achieve so much more. So rather than just climb the career ladder, how about grow together with the family, being present with the family? And as I have my kids grow up from a younger age, I would also still be at the active stage of my life where I'll be able to spend more time with them. So think about it whereby I will grow old with them rather than grow old ahead of them.
Right.
So I think that was what drove me to that decision back then.
Very interesting. And Pendita, I believe you joined boxing to bond with your son. Now, your story shows how boxing became more than just an exercise. It became a way to be present and be an involved dad. But why boxing? And how has it helped you to connect with your son, Iman, on a deeper level as a father?
I was a firm believer of doing some activity together, just to bond. And I wanted to do something different from what the norm in the society does. So boxing is something I just stumbled across when I was walking by at Clarke when I saw the gym. I went to check it out. The legends, the coaches there was very good. So I said, why not? Iman, let's try to do boxing. I need you to learn self-defense at the same time because he's very small and petite. It's what we call fun size at that point in time. So boxing became more like a fitness. It allows Iman and me to push each other, make mistakes together, grow together. So boxing allows us to bond and strengthen the relationship, and it's still going on right now, and our relationship is still evolving. So I love going boxing with my son at Legends.
Oh, very interesting. I mean, all three of you, it seems like you've broken the societal norms and took parenting in a different way. And based on everything everyone has shared here, it sounds like you all made a strong effort to be present for your kids and never miss important moments. But we know that life sometimes gets in the way, right? So maybe for all of us here, can you share a moment when you felt like you weren't as present as you wanted to be as a father, and how did that feel and what did you learn from it, Justin?
I think for me it would be on hindsight. I'm thinking of this on hindsight. When my oldest son was about 3, he started having his terrible twos, so it was a bit late. But every day was a battle with him just to get him to go and shower, and it continued on until he was 4. And I was just trying to figure out what was going on. And on hindsight, I'm realizing he had started to develop intellectually. He could think about more advanced things. He could plan schedules, but he couldn't communicate because his language skills hadn't caught up. And we were all getting frustrated with him because he didn't seem to be listening to us. But the problem was actually that he couldn't be understood. So when I became a stay-home dad and I started to spend a lot of quantity time, not quality time, I was watching whatever he watches. I was with him the whole day. I realized what he was talking about. So one day we were in the bus and he shouted, "Oh, ecutio, ecutio." And I realized he was pointing at an excavator. So I said, "Oh, so that's what you're talking about all this while." And the next time when he said that word at home, I said, "Are you referring to an excavator?" And his eyes lit up. And from that point I realized he felt someone could finally translate for him. So he was dragging me everywhere. He said, "I want you to tell Nai Nai, I don't want to bathe first, I want to do this other thing first." And very quickly his behavioral challenges went away because he could now communicate his wants and we could also communicate the wants to him. So just being present and that silly quantity time with him made that difference.
Very interesting. Well, Pendita, what about you?
I have different approaches. When my eldest is a girl, I was working shift, so I get to see her growing up. I get to bathe her, shower her, bring her to school, bring her to the playground. I really get to see her growing up. But when it comes to my son, I was working office hour. And I realized I missed out a lot of what's happening in that crucial part of their life. And one of the things that bothers me until now is that I didn't get to teach my son how to cycle. Because the grandfather took that away from me. And then I reached home and said, "Iman know how to cycle already." What? I'm supposed to be teaching that. It's supposed to be the dad's job, no? So that's the only part whereby I missed out on for my son.
And Jeremy?
I think just to add a bit of a context, as an educator at 1313, this is not my full-time role. So prior to my current role in finance, I actually used to be a military regular. So in the early years, I signed on with the force because I wanted to start my family early, get some stability. And back then I was a combat officer and was running duties on a regular basis. So that was when I was also having my kids, young kids. My oldest 2 were just 1 year apart. I was constantly out on duty, working overnight, 24-hour shifts. And that was also when I realized that I was not home for their growth and development.
Right.
That was when they were, I think, newborn, and the older one was about 1 or 2 years old. So after a while, I started realizing that when I was going home, the kids were already sleeping. And if I'm going out for work, they still haven't woken up. And that was when I realized that I was also missing out a large part of their developmental phases when they were that young. So as my career progressed, I also made that decision that I needed to commit more time. And that was part of the reason why I made a transition out of my previous career. Now my job allows me to be in control of my time. I have the flexibility to arrange my schedule. And to be honest, a lot of the work that I do today is planned around the family, and my family time is also planned around my work. So I would say that I'm doing both together.
Right. I mean, people traditionally view, as you guys all said earlier, that fathers would bring home the bacon and they're always working, they're not very present. But it really feels as a kid. For me, personally, my dad used to work overseas, so there was always a limited time where I could see him. And I think growing older, I was a bit closer to my mom than I was to my dad, and then it took a while to build a relationship, but we are very close now. But that presence is very important, especially at a young age. And all of you guys have multiple children. Justin, you are a father of 2. Pendita, you're a father of 3, and Jeremy, you are a father of 4. So how do you guys find yourself parenting differently with each child? How do you stay present and intentional with each one? Justin, I know you're spending time at home with both of them, but is there a style difference?
To my surprise, yes. Whatever worked for the first child doesn't work for the second. And as much as I could give people advice regarding how I handled the first child, I'm totally at a loss with the second one now. And I'm asking around. Even before we came into the studio, I was asking these more experienced dads, how do I handle my 3-year-old now? He doesn't want to bathe every day and it's a battle. So they were just telling me it's going to be different for each one, and the styles we need to use would have to change. I try to adjust based on the two of their personalities, and I try not to make the older one always have to give in just because he's the older one. And if he does, or if he really has to give in certain situations because we ask him to, I'll also, on the side, maybe give him some rewards to balance that out. That's currently the best I can do.
Well, Pendita, you have 3 children, 2 of which are daughters and 1 son. Does the middle child, stereotypically the middle child doesn't really get attention. Does the middle child still get attention?
He will beg to differ, but I think my middle child got the most attention among the 3 because he's the only son. I realized that having 3 kids, even though they are all from the same gene, they all have different characters. And we as parents, we have to adapt to each of them. We have to be the one to be the chameleon. So I try to be fair to all, but my kids know I will be fair, but I will not be equal. So the love and attention definitely be fair, but the support in terms of academic or finance will be a bit different and be tweaked to each of their strength and characters. So so far I've been doing well. I'm blessed, and the 3 kids are actually listening to me. Yeah, we're being happy. I'm thinking going karaoke tomorrow, I think. So they're planning.
Well, Jeremy, you're the winner here with 4 children.
Wow.
I'm sure there are no quiet days at home. So how do you, is the parenting style different for each child?
Well, firstly, I'll agree with you. It's a constant circus at home. Parenting styles. Well, I like to think that I adopt a consistent parenting approach. But just with Justin and Pendita as well, I do agree that each of their personalities are different. And the way that we communicate with each of them requires a little bit of different flair, little bit of nuancing, because all of them react differently to different approaches.
Right.
With the consistency, what I try to apply is logic-based guidance. I want them to be independent. I want them to make decisions on their own. I don't want them to be spoon-fed, because I believe that one day they will go out into the world and they have to stand on their own. So what I do is expose them to a myriad of experiences. I allow them to take controlled risks. I push them out of their comfort zones. And that is what I consistently do with each of them. But then again, everyone does have a different pace of learning.
Right.
And that is where we do have to calibrate that approach a little bit.
Well, as we mentioned earlier in our conversation, society has traditionally viewed fathers as providers more than caregivers. So should we remove this so-called dad stigma where fathers are defined primarily by financial provision and occasional discipline? Are fathers much more than that now, Justin?
I would think so. And looking at Pew Research, they were saying millennial parents are 3 times more involved in their children's lives than their parents were, than their fathers were. So from dad to son, there's such a big change in terms of involvement, and I think it's a wonderful thing. We seem to be at an inflection point. There's so much that the dads today are trying to change in terms of the way we were parented. It's always been monkey see, monkey do for generations.
Right.
We're beginning to see, hey, maybe that wasn't the best way to do things. And I think that is such a challenge because whenever you try and do things differently from how you were raised, you need to think very hard. And you need to go against your parents or against some of the norms. So it is quite a big challenge, but I think there are real benefits to this, and we see it in how different our kids are starting to be.
Pendita?
Traditionally, the fathers will be out earning and the mother will be doing the nurturing at home, including homeworks and education. But right now, I think both the mother and the father roles change. And I can see a lot of fathers are really getting involved and taking charge and playing more with the children in every aspect of their life. I think that's good because now at least fathers can actually have a proper role to play and can actually see the kids growing up and be a part of their life. There was something missing. I grew up in an environment whereby my father is always giving instruction. We don't ask why, we just comply. But right now, like you said, we have to actually engage the children and we have to communicate with them and through logic so they can actually understand. When they understand what we're trying to do, they will understand and they will do it for us. So yes, I think we should remove that particular dogma for that.
Jeremy?
Okay, so with regard to stigma, I think there is this thought that with the dads, we bring home the bacon, the mom, they nurture the kids. But I'm just going to stop at that point there and get us all to consider that both the dad's role and the mom's role are actually equally important. It is not just about changing the stigma about what dads do at home, because I do believe that the mom's role in nurturing is also still important, but how we as dads step up to complement her role becomes that change in what we see in society today. So in our childbirth education classes, we do see more dads participating. In the past, dads are a little bit more reserved. They step back a little bit more and say that, because this is the mom's role, they do everything. But when the dads step up, the role actually is different from what the mom does still, and that's why the mom's role still remains important. But it's how we communicate and how we support our spouses, our partners in that journey, partnering them, raising the kids. Because moms nurture, dads still provide the structure, provides the security and the stability. And I think both the mom's role and dad's role are equally important.
Definitely.
So I would not define the dad's role purely to detract it fully from what people see as just the provider. We still provide, right? But in a different way.
Okay, makes sense. Well, I'm sure a lot of dads are tuning in right now as well. So since I have 3 wonderful fathers here, what is a piece of advice that you can give to fathers tuning in right now who may need the extra encouragement? Justin?
I would say that the difference that you're trying to make in your lives will show, but it will often take a longer time to see. I often say my dad is more like a millennial dad. He was very present, and it was rather unusual for those among the boomer generation. And for that, I was very thankful. He was always playing with us at the playground, bringing us out and being involved in our lives. And so it was quite a natural thing for me to do now. To the extent my son, when he heard I'm coming on radio to talk about fatherhood, he said, tell people to be a good dad, you must play at the playground with your children. So he saw that as what it means to be a dad and be involved. And as I speak to some of the other dads in the Ordinary Dad, the stay-home dad community, I realize so many of them are struggling to be different from their dads. They are trying to change the way they are parenting from the way that their fathers were doing it. So hard because they're going up against so many things. So I'm starting to appreciate what my dad had to do in his generation. And my encouragement to the dads who are trying to make a difference now is that it really becomes easier for the next generation when you do. You are making change that will go down the line, and many generations from now will be blessed by the actions that you're taking.
Pendita?
My only piece of advice to them is don't worry about being perfect. just be present. We are definitely going to make mistakes along the way. We'll mix mistakes together, but as long as you're present in their life, you create good memories, your kids will definitely treasure that when they're growing up.
And Jeremy?
I mean, I totally agree with that. I was just going to say that we cannot be perfect. We are all learning along the way. And every effort that we make, it is important that we make the effort rather than to avoid failure. So as we try to be present, as we try to speak with our kids, I will be the first to raise my hand and say that, I have my struggles and challenges with some of my kids as well. And it's a learning process every day. But the day that we give up, that is the day that we fail as a dad. So we do need to put in that effort to continue engaging, continue trying our best just to be with them. Yeah.
And I believe all children know that their dads aren't perfect, but in their eyes, you guys are always going to be the Superman in our lives. So if your children wrote a few lines about you in 20 years, what would you hope they'd say about you? How would you want your children to describe you as a father in the future? Justin?
Wow, that's a big one. Thank you, Daddy, for being the perfect dad. No. I think it's something along the lines of, I think what I also wrote to my dad thank you for taking the time, Dad. And thank you for being there. I think that would be enough.
Pendita?
I'll be happy if they just thank me for believing in them, for pushing them, and also for instilling them to constantly making a positive difference in lives. I'll be happy with that.
Jeremy?
I'm not that emotional, to be honest. I'm not good with thank yous. I'm not good with things like that. But I guess if they have expressed any form of gratitude to the point where I have been there to be their pillar of support when they were struggling, I have been the light to guide them when they were lost. And I was there with them when they were both happy and sad. I think that would just make me warm and fuzzy enough to make me feel appreciated.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, to add on, right, I mean, I don't need much words. In future, if my kids will come out to me and hug me and say, thank you, Dad, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm already tearing up
Totally.
here. And finally, I've got a little over time, but very quickly, if you could send a heartfelt message to your own father, what would you say to them? Justin?
Dad, thank you for going against the grain, and thank you for making the difference.
Pendita?
I would just want to hug him and say thank you to him.
And Jeremy?
I want to thank him for all the sacrifice that he has made and knowing or basically communicating to us that we can go out and take our risks and he will always be there to support us so that we can explore the world on our own as well.
Lovely. And thank you so much for all of you for joining me today, and happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've been speaking to Jeremy Chua, who's an educator at 1313, followed by Pendita, father of 3, as well as Justin Hui, who is a stay-at-home dad. Thank you to all those who tuned in live on air as well as on our social media platforms. Tune in again next week for another Hot Seat. I've been your host, Hongbin Jeong.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.